Hello everyone, and thank you for stopping by my channel. Today is Sunday Slow Stitching with Rita, and I am still working on the project bag. So I kind of wanted to start getting things ready to put it together, and I'm not sure how far I can get on this this week, but over here, I had been stitching down all of the raw edges of the pieces here. Let me move this out of the way because I don't really need this here right now to share this. So, and see, I couldn't even see that piece. So what was happening is I'm up here getting ready to stitch this part of the flowers down. And then I realized that my zipper area is going to go inside of this band that we're going to use for the zipper, which I'll explain to you. But it's going to fold over like so. Well, if I put something in here, it's going to be gone. So that's why I did that. That way I could see. So I'm thinking that I could stitch this down and not stitch in the zipper until after this layer is done, but I'm not quite sure. So, because then I thought I could take some of my flowers or whatever lace and bring it up into the top of this. Like the butterfly, I could have it flying so that it would be like up here on top of this. The only thing is we have to, let me move this out of the way. We have to, well, that wasn't the right butterfly. Well, okay, I'll figure it out. Put a piece of fabric back here, because if you don't, you're going to see all your stitching. If you don't care that you see it, then you don't have to put anything. It's up to you. You will have a background of this, and that's why I chose this fabric. I thought it was a best match for what I'm doing, I think. So this would be the background, like that. And then this also would come over the edge here, and that would be the binding. So I think it kind of blends in. It's got the little bit of blue and the pinks and green. So I think everything will blend together with it. Not sure. I haven't done this before as a slow stitch. I've done it before on my sewing machine, and it's pretty simple. So, but on the sewing machine, I usually have this piece, and then I put a piece of vinyl, and then this becomes the inside of the pouch. And, I want it to be the outside of the pouch in this case. So, let's see, I was just thinking I could probably baste it on, although if I need to really, I'm sorry about this, I need to finish stitching down because, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of, it's wonky right now because if I don't stitch everything down, it won't come back to its original size, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's what needs to be done first, is the rest of it to be stitched down. And then I also want to do stitching on these leaves here, and then around this yellow dots and the purple, and maybe thread paint a little bit in here. So that needs to be done. And I have over here, this was a lace trim, and it was scallop shaped, and I just put two scallops together to make a little circle there. And these, I started to learn how to crochet again. I haven't done it for years. And my friend helped me make this one, which is probably not perfect, but it looks good enough for me. So I thought I would put that somewhere. I kind of really like it down in here. And then this is another one that I made that was through YouTube. But see, it's not perfect. It's just not. So I thought, well, I'll just cover up what I don't think is perfect, layer them like so. Put them down inside there like that, because I was trying to cover up some of this gray here. And then I did another one up here, and I just stitched it down there. And so here, I've already got a knot here. I am just finishing, I'm going around these flowers here. I'm trying to see. And all I'm doing is an overcast type stitch. So not a blanket stitch, but an overcast, because I'm not putting the thread in behind or front. I'm not catching the thread. I'm just doing it this way. So what I do is go along the outside edge and come up, and that brings this down. And then I go up here at the top and come up at the top on this one and bring the thread down. And then I'll come up here, I think, and bring the thread down, and then just go on the outside edge. I hope you can see that. And then the top edge up here, and down here, and here. And I did have to dig out my applique pens because I could not get all this stuff to hold down. And somebody asked me if I use glue, and no, I don't. I have used glue before when I was quilting, when I did applique, but most of the time, no. Most of the time I would base down everything, and because even if you glue it, it'll hold it if you're going to stitch it right away. But if you don't stitch it, that glue, it will dry, because you don't want permanent glue, because you don't want it to stay inside your project. At least I don't. So a temporary glue, but once that dries, it just kind of breaks away from the fabric. It won't stay there after the glue dries well enough. At least in my cases. Now, I'm not going to say for sure that, all glues are like that, because they're probably not. I have glues that I use for my journal making that I use on fabric, and it does not come off. But I would not probably use that on a stitching, because you have to stitch through it. And I don't like it to be any harder than it already is sometimes when you get so many layers of fabric. Another little pen. I've got to find a special pen cushion for these. Not that I don't have 100 pen cushions already. But they all kind of are too big. I need something that holds those little tiny ones. I usually use safety pins, but that is more useful when I'm laying down my fabrics on the background. If I'm doing like a collage of fabrics, then I use the safety pins, because then I'm going to stitch everything down and it'll all be basted, and then I don't need any pins. So I'm just going around this, and then I'll probably stop my video, and oops, that's a little bit too big. I'm just going to kind of sneak back through there and come up here. And sometimes your thread, your fabric is going to start to fray maybe more than you want, but I don't mind that. I'm just doing this without going through. I feel like I'm separating the fabric with my needle if I come up along the edge. But and I think running the stitches under back and forth like this makes for a stronger hold. Okay, so I think that's it for that section of the blue. So I'll tie that off like here. Yeah, see this, I haven't hardly stitched anything over here or over here, so that's why it's all wonky right now. And let's see, I've got blue thread. Can I do something? I might do this one up here in blue with what little thread I have. And this will, and then I thought I would put a layer of lace up here. It would have probably been better to lay all this out and make sure, but I don't like to do that because I don't know, I just need to do what feels right at the time or looks right to me at the time. And sometimes I'll take a whole piece off if I don't like the way it looks. And I kind of like that look. And you could, if you used a plain fabric for this part, can you see that? Okay. If you want to use like a plain color there, then you could do some cute embroidery stitches through here. I'm going to use a bigger pan up here. Let's see how this looks to me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. It's a little long, but that's okay because we're going to come back and trim it so that it fits completely. But it's just hanging everywhere. Okay. And let's see, do I have another long pin? Not up here. I don't. Okay. So see, that would look like that sort of, and then the butterfly needs to come out. Did I happen there? But the butterfly would look cute over there. So I wanted one like over here, like they were going like this around. And I keep having to move them because I don't want to sew them down yet. This one I was all done sewing in here, so I went ahead and sewed it down. But I kind of like that it would overlap there. Then the zipper will fit in here. We will stitch this along this edge, the zipper. And you want your zipper to be longer than your project. So this one here, I believe, is a 14-inch. I'm guessing. Most of mine are 14-inch. Come on, pins, where are you? I guess I don't have any more at my... some more applique ones. They're so tiny. But so what we'll do is we'll base this down, I think, with large stitches. We'll base the zipper to this edge. And then we'll put our other piece of fabric inside of here. And then we'll baste all this down. And then we'll come back and use, I was thinking not a running stitch, but like a back stitch where it's, or you could do maybe like a chain stitch if you wanted, something that's a little bit heavier holding. A back stitch would be like a stitch, and then you would come back into that last stitch and then go forward and come back and forward and back and forward and back. I think that's what it's called, a back stitch. And that would go right along the very top, and then we would stitch along here for another decorative stitch there. Okay, and if you don't want those stitches to show up on your background fabric, you would have to sew all of this on except the zipper, and then just attach that last, I think. Okay, anyway, that's pretty much the gist of it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish getting all my things stitched down. I may come back for a little bit and do some embellishing stitches, and yeah, then we'll see what it comes out. In here I put some lace in behind here. This is going to be part of the edge over here. This will be gone because we'll be cutting that away. So anything hanging over, you'll be removing it. And yeah, I did this because my fabric came out short on this side. It's shorter than this, see? And so I wanted something to cover that, so it looked like part of my plan, and it was not my plan. But we just do what we do, right? So, alrighty. So I'm gonna put you on pause, and I will come back when I get this stitched, and then we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching so far. Okay, I'm back. So I have been stitching down here and there everywhere, and I decided that I was going to stop and try to show you how to put the zipper section in, because I still have a lot of stitching I want to do, and I don't want to just keep stitching and not get this done in this video if I can. So obviously I need more stitching because it's still not straight. I should have taken this needle out. Let me just stick that in there like that, and I'll just leave this thread here. So I did some French knots here in the purple flowers, and I did French knots up here, and then on the leaves I just did a straight stitch, a stem stitch down the middle, and then off of that some stitching. And here I put some like lazy daisy chain stitches inside of each of those little areas, and I still have some to do over here and add these little flowers. And then I thought I would put this little piece of lace up here. And now I had a really hard time with this fabric because it unraveled so badly. So you may want to test out, you know, your fabric before you start to stitch on it and see how it unravels. And it's possible you could put just some glue or something on the back, let it dry, and that way you know it's going to stop. Don't do it, I mean, do it before you put it down. Just a little tiny bit of glue, even a little bit of glue stick, to keep it from shredding when you're sewing, because that's what's taking it off. Here's one I haven't sewed down yet, but if I start picking at it, it's going to unravel right there. So I may try a little tiny bit of glue on the edge of that and see how that works. If it's, and let it dry. I don't want you to glue it down to the surface, I don't think. Okay, so let me put this somewhere where I don't lose my needle. I had, oh, there it is. Had a pin cushion. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let me, I want this little piece to be in here, so I'm going to pin that down because it would have to be sewn in to the piece up here. So I didn't really stitch much up here. There was really no point. So what you need is a piece of your fabric that you want to use for the back and the binding, and you're going to cut it 4 inches wide, okay? And by the length of your slow stitch piece that you're going to make the front of your project bag with, okay? Then you're going to iron it into the center, both sides, like that. And then you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to press it all down. So that's going to make the little binding for the zipper. That's going to make the binding for this to fit into. Now on this piece where the zipper's going, you're going to cut this 2 inches. Boy, this is unravelly too. Cut this 2 inches wide and fold it just in half. And you want that to be as long as the other piece. Now I go over the edge. Don't cut it exactly because things change and this part doesn't matter. So you just want to make sure that it's big enough. All right. So let me set those. Now that, let me show you here. So this one is going to be the zipper. Gosh. The zipper is going to run along this edge and this edge. So let me take these pins out. I just kept pinning things to see how to place them. And I was also going to check through this to see if it was hard to stitch. Okay, so this piece will be sewn on to here, and this piece will be sewn on to here. And we're going to cut these, not this, with the zipper end. You want that, after we get it sewn on, we will open the zipper before we cut the edges. Okay, so I'm going to do all this, and I'm not, oh, let's see. We want to cut this little notch off too down here. At least I do. I don't want that there. Okay, so let me, and your zipper pull, I put it on the right. It's up to you. You can put it left or right. I don't think it makes a difference. I just put it wherever. All right. Now this stitching here, we want it to be strong enough to be able to hold the zipper. Okay, so I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to just stitch this there. I think I'm just going to use an off-white. This is sort of this is 738 DMC, and that might look nice. And that is 8 weight, and I think this is 8 weight too. That's just off-white. I don't know. Kind of think I like this. We'll do this one. Okay. I get my needle. And also, I don't have it with me, but I did find that if I take my wax and just put, you know how you buy the little wax things to wax your thread? If you have that, then you can wax the very end and it will help it stiffen a little bit so that you can get your needle in easier. Because all my needle threaders are too big to go through the eye of this needle. All right, I hope that's enough to get this stitched. Okay, I hope I'm in screened. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to, and you want your zipper face up. So I'm going to do I was going to do like a back stitch, so, or maybe I'll just do a stem looking stitch. I think that, but I would put them close together, not make the stitches too big, and then try to keep it straight, which is kind of hard for me to do. Whoops. Darn it, it's not even straight. Okay. You could put a decorative stitch here, but I think you need something with one long stitching line. I keep making these stitches. I'm going to go back through there. I don't want it that far. Be nice to get out of the way of that. All right, I'm gotta make them smaller. But it's actually working really good with this, going through this fabric. It's not too hard to push it through. Okay, so basically I'm just doing a stem stitch because it's almost like a double stitch, because you go up and then you come back in the middle of that prior stitch. So you're getting a real strong stitch line here. Okay, going a little crooked. You could draw a line if you wanted to. And I'm stitching, I guess, about, well, now I'm stitching a little farther away from the edge, but I would say not as small as an eighth of an inch, but not as big as a quarter of an inch. So I don't know what that would be, right down the middle. You just want to make sure that you get your zipper stitched on, and that your this lining or this part here does not go over your zipper, otherwise it'll get caught. Oops. Okay, well, I'm not going to be out of thread here in a second. So what I'm going to do is pause it, go ahead and finish the stitching, and then I'll come back and we'll work on the other side. Okay, I've got this all sewn on, and I did notice that I got, it didn't sew very well, but that's because I can't see where I'm sitting. I noticed that it did pucker a little bit. So maybe when you sew this on, try to make sure that you keep it a little bit not pull too tight on your stitching. It's because you don't really want it to pucker up. But this is the back, and I don't think you're going to be able to see that too much from the inside of your project bag. Can't remember what I'm talking about. Okay, so now on this part, we want the open end to face towards you, and you want to line this up, this one to this one. Now, if you have the exact size, you would absolutely have to line these up perfect, but because I'm leaving it longer to be able to trim it to the size we need, I don't have to do that. So I'm going to pin all this in, and this one you can see is already shorter, but it's the right size. So I'll show you here in a second. So I'm not going to sew this right now. I'm going to just pin it here and then sew it off camera. But I want to show you on this part here. So because this is a mess back here, or at least in my case, I want to cover this. Now, I have left that little bit of seam binding on there, or that salvage edge, which I thought might help to keep it from unraveling. So we're just going to cover this so that it covers the whole back. Okay? So it's okay if it hangs over. Because we're going to cut it to size to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pin this here in a couple spots so that it won't fall one way or the other. It'll be stable in here. I have to get a different table for in here too, because I don't want to put it that close to the edge. Because it's kind of hard to sew on this fabric or put pins in. But I did that because the table underneath is uneven, and that might be worse. Okay, so now that you've got that pinned on, and I'm doing this way because I'm thinking that you guys might want, because if I don't get this finished on camera, you're going to want to go ahead and keep working on yours, okay? Because like I said, I still want to do more stitching in here. So now we're going to open this up, and oh, I lied. We're not going to do that yet. We are going to stitch along here first, okay? So can you see that? Along this edge, we're going to do the same thing as we did on that edge. Then we're going to open it up after it's stitched, and we're going to set this inside of that, just like so. Okay. Now at this point, the zipper will be sewn in, and it'll be a little easier because you're going to do that first. Then you'll just put your backing on like that. So there you'll have this clean piece back here, and then your fabric back there. And then after you do all, whoops, great. Didn't pin it on, but I was going to sew it first, that's why. So after you get all this stitched, then we'll come back and we'll do the backing part and trimming part, okay? But I don't know if I'm going to do that in this video this week because, like I said, depends on how much stitching I can get done. I've only got, so tomorrow, which is Friday for me, I'm only going to have a couple hours. And then tonight I can stitch a little bit and maybe I'll be done. And then I can come back and finish filming this. I'm trying to think what else I want to tell you. Because then after we get this size the way we want it exactly, then we'll come back and set up our background piece that's going to fold over the edges, kind of like this, but not this piece. Okay, so I think that's all I need to tell you right now, and you may have to watch a couple times to get it, but it's not too hard. Just remember that you want this opening to be facing you when you're laying your slow stitch fabric down, and this one is going to be open on this side, so the edges on the zipper are going to both be nice and smooth. Okay, and then make sure that your zipper is out here. Once you get everything sewn together, you'll be able to open the zipper like so. Okay, and then you'll have the background of your other fabric behind that. All right, so that's it for now. If I get back before I run out of time this week, I will come back and share with you what I've done. And then because I want to embellish still, I thought I would, after everything's sewn in, I could come and do, oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So after this part, then you're going to stitch across here to hold this on. The back and the front will be stitched together. So you need to make sure you go in deep enough that you catch the back as well. So pin it really well or hand baste it or whatever you want to do. Then you can put more embellishments up here. So if you want to put a butterfly here, or all this other stuff will have to go before you stitch it closed. And I'm going to be able to move this out of the way after I get this stitched so that I can continue to stitch on this without stitching through the back. So what I'll do is just unpin this and roll it back so that it's out of the way, so I can do some more stitching. All right, so I hope that gives you some idea of what to do. And I don't know, I might just add some more things up here on this edge, or you could run lace up there. I don't have any handy, but I thought about that too. Up here, I could, as I'm sewing this through, I could stitch lace on there. Yeah, but I don't have a piece handy that I can drag out and try. All right, guys, so that's it for now. I'm not going to say goodbye yet. I will come back and say goodbye when I get this part stitched, okay? Thank you. Be back. Okay, I'm back, and we're in another day. So I have stitched on just about everything I can see that I need to stitch down. So I added some buttons down here, some of these crocheted flowers, I guess they're called, and a couple butterflies. And then I was going to put this butterfly up here, but the stitching would show through the back side, and I just didn't know if I wanted it to look like that or not. So I thought maybe I could squeeze it in here and just kind of stitch it, but not go through the whole back. So I don't remember exactly where I left off before, but I told you that we needed to put a back on here. So that's what I did. I slid this up under here where this is the folded part. Let's see, this one's just a half fold. Let me get this one. This part here. So that was sitting like that, and I was able to put the backing and the front in between here, sandwich it together like so, and then stitch across here to hold this in place. I did baste around here because I was afraid my fabric would move, and I have a string there. I didn't want it to shift on me and not cover the whole thing. So on this one, I just did a running stitch across the bottom to hold this in place. And we already had the stitching from the stitching in the zipper. So it was attached like 2 times, really. This is only holding the backside in, that part. Okay, so then I'm going to make a backing for it, and we'll go through that, but I have to stop and finish adding this lace because I don't like the way I stitched up here. So I thought, well, I could take it all out and try it again, but what if it looked bad again? So I decided to take some of this crocheted lace and lay this on over that stitching and just kind of, you know, whip stitch it on, and I think it'll look good. So now remember, you want your zipper out here, and you want this end laying out here. So you see, I didn't even measure. I just got inside of these two pieces here. And we're going to cut away here. All this is going to be cut. Okay. And then I'm going to measure it. I did measure it, and I gave it a little press just so it doesn't look straight to me, but I think it is. So up here is 12 inches, like actually 12 1/4. And the middle is 12 1/4. And this bottom area is closer to 12 rather than 12 1/4. So I hope that will be okay. It's a little late to start trimming all the sides now, and this is 8. I'm going from here, just something 8 to just kind of get an idea. 8. So in my case, this one came out a little larger than this half, and it wouldn't be because of not having enough stitches, because that would even bring it in more. So I may have cut it a little crooked or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's homemade. It's handmade, I should say, not homemade. Handmade, and it, you know, I think it's going to be really cute when we get done. So I'm going to pause you here again, and I'm going to stitch this and the one on top, and that way I'll be ready to add the backing. All right, so I'll see you in a few. Okay, I'm back again. Just have to stop and start, stop and start. Okay, so I stitched on this lace here to hide that sewing that I did up there, and it adds a little extra pizzazz to it. So then right now we're going to go ahead and cut this even with the rest of the pocket. So this is 12 1/4. Yeah, 12 to 12 1/4. And I think if I'm up here, this should all be pretty even with this. So I think all I have to do is use this line here And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take this part of the zipper and bring it inside here like that, and then just make sure that those are nice and close together at the end. And then I'm going to take my rotary blade and I'm going to cut through it, and hopefully it'll work. Now these make great little tabs to put on your pole. On your here, you can cut this or you know, pin it on there if you want. It's just okay. So now that I'm going to move this down, not all the way, because we don't want to go off the end until we get it sewn in. Okay, but just to make it a little bit more secure. So this one here, I'm going to line this ruler up. See that at the end, and we're going to cut this one. And these plastic zippers are pretty nice to cut. I mean, they're not that difficult. You can use scissors as well. Okay, so now we have our little, now if you want to and you need to trim this up, you can do that now. The only thing is I don't want to trim it because of it being slow stitched. I might cut an edge, you know, where my stitching is going to come out. Even up here, I started the stitching over here past where I was going to cut it so that it wouldn't cut the end off, so there wouldn't be a knot. Okay, so now you need a piece of fabric that measures the size of your finished project bag. So here we have, I'm going to say 12 inches. Close enough. So you would need to cut a piece of fabric for this. You would have to go 14 inches, which is going to give you an inch on this side and an inch on that side. And then the height, and this one I would cut, it measures just about 11, and I would cut it 13. Okay, let's see. So you're going to cut 2 inches wider than, or longer, or wider, whatever way you're going, so that you have 1 inch equally all the way around. And I hope that's right. Okay, so I have this piece here, and this measures what I need to go here, and I ironed, pressed in like a 1/2 inch on each side, because we need to do that to make our binding. Okay, so let's see. And then if you have a directional fabric, depending on which way you want your flowers to, or your stripes, or your other, whatever you have to show, you want to make sure that that's going up, because we're not turning this inside out or anything. Now we're going to take this here, and it should fit, but it doesn't always, because I just eyeball it. Yeah, see, like this one is, how come that's so big? What did I do there? That should not be that. I think I have it the right direction. Let me try this way. Maybe no, that's, no. I don't know what I did. Let me see. Okay, that's 14, close enough. I have pins in there, but I could take those out. I don't need them, actually. I just did that before I ironed it, so I knew I was close to a 1/2 inch. And that's 13 going that way. a little over 13. So why isn't that working? 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 15. Or what are you? Okay, do it again. So, yeah, because it's 12, and I went almost to 14. All right, it's got to fit somehow. I guess it might just be a little bit off. All right. So anyway, you should be able to center this in between where you've folded it over a 1/2 inch. It should fit. But if it doesn't, you just have to figure it out, right? Okay, so then I'm going to base this down with some pins. Try to keep it like so. Now this is going to be, the wrong side is going to be facing you while you do this. Okay, so I'm just going to start here. And I think I'll just put clips around it a little quicker. I have no idea how long this video is. Okay. Now this needs to come down and around. Big thunder. And that's kind of thick right in here. But you'll get a nice, whoops. You will get a nice mitered corner there. I always think I could cut that out, you know, and not make it so bulky, but every time I make something, I forget to try, and then I'm afraid I'll mess it up, and then I'll be in trouble. Of course, I guess I could just cut a new back if that's the case. Okay, so this side, actually, I guess if you leave it open like this and then come in, and then bring this in, be a little less bulky. It's like that leaf is perfectly right there on that corner. Fun. Okay, so this is where I might have to just kind of pull it a little. It seems like every time I do this, even on my vinyl ones, I have one side that's always a little bit short or tight. Turn that around that way. So get this end done. Okay. Now on this one, you're going to have to sew all the way through to the back side because you have to get that zipper, you know, tight enough in there. I'm going to open this up and then bring it down. This side is a lot bigger. Let's see if I can. All right, that's not too bad. Doesn't look too bad there. The one thing about slow stitching, you can just do whatever you want. So I thought I'd just leave that loose. Okay, and then we're gonna bring this together here. Now see, I'm kind of short here on this side. I'm just going back over here because I want to get my zipper down. Oh, it won't stretch anymore. Darn. Pinned here, and as I sew I will be more careful about getting it, and I might be able to stretch it a little bit too. Okay, so this side is going to go in like so. That's already, yeah, I'm not happy about this at all, this top part at all. I think it's just because this, well, I know it's because this side is not, it didn't have enough room. So I thought everything was pretty straight. All right, so there we go. And so that's the front, and this will be your back, which I think looks cool. And I think actually the front looks pretty good once I get that all sewn down. And I'll have to figure out that part. I guess, I don't know if that can go inside. I'll have to figure that out. I may have to just trim it right there. Anyway, that is pretty much it. Now you're going to sew this down really well here, maybe stitch a couple stitches, and the same with this side. Or you can put it on your sewing machine and actually just stitch all the way around. And when you open it, you're going to have your pouch in here. So, see? This one is going to show the wrong side. If I was to do this again, I would, on my background, I would put another layer of fusible or something on this, the same size, and then fuse it on and leave that, those 2 inches free so that you could turn it. That's what I would do, because it's not very stable at this point up here. But I mean, it's usable. It's not, you're not going to be holding books or anything. You're going to be holding some thread. So, and then out here you can put a little dangle on it. So let me stitch around this. I'll put you on pause, and then I'll show you the final results. So I'll be back. Okay, everyone, I am finally finished, and I have stitched all around the edges here just with the running stitch, and I used the blue that I used in some of the other parts of the cover. And then this is the back, and that came out okay. And then this opens up. I put a little charm on here, little sewing machine, vintage, and a vintage button on my little tassel here. And then that opens up like that, and then we have a pouch. And in this, I mean, I could put threads. I could put a whole project in here. My threads and fabric, lace, you know, whatever I choose to carry along with me if I'm going on a little trip or something like that. So the background is a little flimsy, but it's okay for me. But if you want, I think it would be good to put some batting or fusible webbing or fusible interfacing just to stiffen it up a little bit. So that is it for today and this week, and I hope everybody has a good weekend, because it's Memorial Weekend here in the United States, if you're watching from somewhere else. And I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe 3-day holiday. All right, guys, so that's it for today and this week, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Okay? Bye.